Talking about Chapter 11, interpersonal attraction and close relationships. Actually, the last two lectures I've done today were about interpersonal attraction and close relationships, but this is the one from cultural psychology. So here we go. Here we go. Among the Padong in the Thai mountains, women elongate their necks by several inches by inserting a number of brass rings around their necks as they grow up. Now the question is, does it actually elongate their neck? They didn't. They did these studies, but what they discovered was this is what a normal neck looks like. This is what a Padong neck looks like. They're actually not elongating their neck. What they're doing is they are depressing their clavicles and their rib cages. These are their ribs, and they're pushing them down. Normally they stick out. There you can see them over here. Anyway, that's what they look like. As interesting as that is. Among the Mursi in Ethiopia, women stretch their lower lips by inserting progressively larger ceramic discs in a hole that has been cut through their lip. And that makes them far more attractive, as you can see. Mentawai, women from Indonesia, file their teeth into sharp points so they have smiles not different from a shark. And that makes them far more attractive, as you can see. Ainu women of northern Japan often tattoo their faces in what looks like a mustache around their lips. And that obviously makes them far more attractive. Western women darken their eyelashes with mascara, trim their eyebrows, and paint their lips with lipstick. This is one of my former students. She also put posts in her cheeks to pull them in. I already give her dimples. I never quite figured that one out. This is me, actually. That's what I look like. That's what she looks like. She liked me a lot. Not that kind of liking, but she thought I was a good instructor, I guess. She'd like to have her picture taken with me. All made up, so there you go. What kinds of faces are thought to be attractive? She said she wanted to be my fourth wife, but she was kidding, of course, and now she has two children and she's been married, and she's married to somebody else, so we don't have to worry about this young lady from Chicago. What kinds of faces are thought to be attractive? There seems to be striking agreement around the world. Skin that looks free of blemishes, blotches, sores, and rashes is viewed as more attractive than skin that does not. And this is according to research done by Ford and Beach in 1951. And then Montague in 1986 found exactly the same thing. So they're looking for smooth skin, no blotches, no sores, and no rashes. People care so much about their skin because people tend to be attracted to healthy mates who would likely produce healthy offspring that would survive with healthy skin. People usually don't think about selecting healthy mates, but their unconscious preferences for traits that are associated with health have been guided by natural selection. Responding to the apparent health of the skin could thus be a useful heuristic for sizing up the health of one's potential mate in the ancestral environment. A second characteristic that appears to be universally viewed as attractive is bilateral symmetry. We are most attracted to people whose left sides of their faces and bodies look identical to their right sides. And this is an individual that's two halves put together. This is two halves put together. As you can see, it's kind of it. This is bilateral symmetry. The left side looking the same as the right side. Curious thing that I just noticed, my right calf is bigger than my left calf. I just noticed that when I was lifting weights the other day. I'm not sure what that means. I was thinking maybe I'd go ask the doctor, but oh, what the heck. There's nothing I can do about it at this point. Bilateral symmetry is an indicator of developmental stability. Given ideal growing conditions, an organism's right and left sides will develop identically. And this is Brad Pitt, but I'm not sure. I used to think that was Paris Hilton, but I'm not sure if it is or not. There's evidence that people prefer symmetrical faces more than asymmetrical ones, and it has been found in all cultures studied. The preference for symmetry is even stronger in hunting-gathering populations, such as the Hadza of Tanzania. These are the Hadza, as you can see. They hunt with very long arrows. A third characteristic of attractive faces is that they tend to be average. Facial features that are close to average in size and in configuration are perceived as most attractive. Men tend to prefer youthful features in women, a characteristic called neoteny. As you can see, her baby face looks a lot like her adult face. Women prefer some masculine features in men, and I guess that includes a hair bun in all of these attractive men. This is Jake Gyllenhaal. I don't know. That's Orlando Bloom. That's one of the Hemsworths. Leonardo DiCaprio. These two guys I'm not sure about. People with average-sized features are less likely to have genetic abnormalities than people with deviant features. Humans can quickly process something that resembles a prototype, and quick processing is associated with good feelings and feelings of attraction. And this is what women from different areas of the world look like. There's somebody from Peru, a mixture of Spanish and Quichua. Swedish, that's European, Ethiopian, Uzbeki, lady from India, a Japanese lady, African American, and Samoan. And now we have men. That's man from China, Italy, Hungary, white American, African American, Filipino, somebody from the Czech Republic, somebody from Uzbekistan. When researchers started mixing the facial features of different racial groups, they discovered that people found their results more attractive than the pure racial groups. The opposite sex found the faces of Eurasian and biracial faces most attractive of all. And this, of course, is Halle Berry. Her mother is white, her father is black. This is a Eurasian woman. That means that one of her parents was from Europe and the other was from Asia. And these are two more mixed race people. This is, what's his name? His father is from Portugal and his mother is from Sweden. One of his grandparents is from is Russian, was a Russian Jew, and he has mixed parentage as well. One of his parents is white and the other is black. These are two actors. This guy's on SWAT, and this is John Wick. Why can't I think of his name? It is not certain why multiracial faces are perceived as attractive. One account is that people should be attracted to genetic diversity as a marker of healthy genes. Multiracial represents the best average of all the faces the individual has encountered in their lives. And these are two more mixed race individuals. The attractiveness of average features does not seem to generalize well to perceptions of bodies. It does not seem to be true that people are most attracted to those of average weight, height, and muscle mass, breast and hips. The kinds of bodies that tend to be seen as most attractive are often those that depart considerably from the average. And this is a composite. It's got Brad Pitt's hair, David Beckham's face, Hugh Jackman's biceps, Ryan Gosling's torso, Frank Lampard's legs. Frank Lampard is a soccer player. And this is what women would prefer. Harry Styles' hair, Jamie Dorman's face. I'm not sure who Jamie Dorman is. Brad Pitt's biceps, David Gandy's torso. I'm not sure who that is. And David Beckham's legs. They're narrower than Frank Lampard's. Frank Lampard is a halfback, and David Beckham was a striker. Not that that's important. This is what males think that women are looking for. This is what women are actually looking for. Whoops. Well, just a second. This is what women think that men are looking for. The Duchess of Cambridge's hair, Cara Delevingne's face, Jennifer Aniston's breasts, Gwyneth Paltrow's stomach, Emma Watson's hips, Elle Macpherson's legs. They're real skinny. Hips are really skinny too. This is what men prefer. Scarlett Johansson's hair, Megan Fox's face, Kim Kardashian's breasts, Michelle Keegan's stomach, Kelly Brock's hips, and Rosie Huntington-Whiteley's legs. And I'm not sure who. This is evidently from England because a lot of those people are Brits. Well, soccer players. In West Africa, the term fat is often viewed as complimentary, indicating strength and beauty. And this is according to research by Cassidy in 1991. Within the United States, African Americans have heavier ideal body weights than European Americans and feel less social pressure toward thinness. Another aspect of interpersonal attraction is the propinquity effect. People are more likely to become friends with people with whom they frequently interact. Researchers looked at friendship patterns that developed in a police academy. The simple fact of who stood next to whom was more important in influencing police recruits' selection of friends than their personalities, backgrounds, and religious beliefs. So it all depended on who you sat beside at school. One reason that the propinquity effect works is because of a phenomenon known as the mere exposure effect. The more we are exposed to a stimulus, the more we are attracted to it. This has been shown to be true for attraction to other people, foreign words, music, and a variety of inanimate stimuli. Mere exposure effect, just think of your favorite songs. Those are the songs you hear more frequently. A brand new song, how often do you go, wow, that's my favorite song of all times. I've only heard it once, but boy, I hope I hear it a lot in the future. That just doesn't usually happen. The mere exposure effect appears to be a cultural universal. Japanese and Americans appear to be equally likely to come to like those people with whom they interact most frequently. And that's according to your author Heine and Renshaw in 2002. People tend to be attracted to those who are most like themselves, and this is known as similarity attraction effect. Much research has shown that people are more likely to view someone as attractive, either as a potential friend or romantic partner, if both are similar in their attitudes, economic background, personality, religion, social background, and activities, and if they look kind of alike. These are not brothers and sisters. These are romantic people that are romantic toward one another. Research that sought to determine whether North Americans or Japanese like similar or dissimilar strangers showed that North Americans had a stronger attraction to similar strangers than Japanese. In some studies, Japanese show a similarity attraction effect as well, but it is consistently weaker than the North American effect. Researchers have discovered that the most frequent topic of conversation is gossip about other people. Studies that track people's happiness over time find that their happiest times are when they are with others. People's most emotionally wrenching experiences involve the breakup of relationships and the death of loved ones. Communal sharing, the members of a group emphasize their common identity rather than consider their idiosyncrasies. In communal sharing, every person is treated the same. Each has the identical rights and privileges as every other member of their group. The ideal in communal sharing is equality among all the members of the group. Authority ranking involves the inequality of relationships that people share. Within authority ranking relationships, people are linearly ordered along a hierarchical social dimension. It's not difficult to see who is in charge in this picture. People with higher ranking have prestige and privileges that those with a lower ranking do not. Subordinates are often entitled to receive protection and care from those above. The lower ranking members earn less money, are allowed fewer privileges, and are obliged to follow the orders of those above them. Asymmetry underlies all authority-ranked relationships. Another basic relational structure is equality matching, based on the idea of balance and reciprocity. People keep track of what is exchanged in equivalent terms. While equality matching is probably the least familiar relational structure to Westerners, it is quite common in many cultures around the world. For example, exchanging Christmas cards. An example in the Western world would be exchanging Christmas cards, taking turns, exchanging dinner invitations, and carpooling. Market pricing is another type of relational structure. All features of benefits that are exchanged can be reduced to a single underlying dimension, usually money. People expect to ultimately receive something equivalent to what they have given. I give you a present worth $50. Next year, when you give me a present, you give me a present worth $50. People normally feel some degree of freedom to move openly between relationships, and this is known as relational mobility. Some people have high relational mobility. They feel they aren't bound by old relationships and are able to start new ones at will. Other people feel more restricted in their relationships. They have low relational mobility. Their commitments and obligations to their old relationships are so great that they are controlled by them, and they don't feel the freedom to form new relationships. They view relationships as stable and lifelong, that provide both benefits and costs in order to maintain them. Relationships in low relational mobility situations are not always positive. Some people really don't get along with each other. If it is not an option to decide that they will not engage with one another, they will continue to have a relationship, though it might be fraught with negative feelings, such as potentially you with your in-laws. Actually, me with all my in-laws. I don't get along. I haven't gotten along with any of my in-laws, as weird as that may sound. My first wife, my second wife, or my third wife. The average American adult reports having a network of about 20.76 friends. Way to go, Americans. We are number one. The average adult in Hong Kong has a network of 13.23 friends. The average German adult has a network of 12.75 friends. A common reaction heard among many international people after their first encounters with Americans is how friendly they seem. Compared with people from other cultures, Americans have a rather casual attitude toward forming friends. In collectivistic contexts, an important aspect of friendship is to provide each other with advice, and this advice is frequently offered regardless of whether one's friend wants to receive it. Unsolicited advice is common in a variety of collectivistic cultures, such as Turkey and Colombia, for example. Colombia, that should be an O, not a U. It seems to be especially prevalent in Russia. The Russians. According to BBC journalist James Rogers, and this is him right here, you can't really say mind your own business in Russian. You can translate the phrase literally, but the concept is not well understood. A study by Chintsova, Dutton, and Vaughn, looking at unsolicited advice among Americans and Russians, found that Russians were twice as likely to have given unsolicited advice. The amount of advice given by Americans was more likely to be contingent on whether it was requested. The amount of advice given by Russians was unaffected by whether or not it was requested. In Russia, a big part of friendship seems to be to let your friends know how you think they should be leading their lives differently. When Ghanaians and Americans were asked whether having a lot of friends was good, Ghanaians said that it was foolish. Friendship to Ghanaians involves obligations, both financial and social. Thus, too many friends could make you a pauper with no control over your life. And this is kind of happening to me. I have a former student from Bangladesh This individual thinks that I need to take care of him. He's half my age. He's in his middle 30s, but he thinks that I need to take care of him because I've taken care of him in the past. Therefore, I have to take care of him in the future. It's really kind of weird. I guess we're friends to some extent, as much as a mentor could be a friend. Anyway, he's coming back to the States and he thinks that I need to go and pick him up at the airport. Well, the airport is 300 miles east of me. That's the airport he's talking about. He's flying into that airport. It's weird because I just talked to him today. He wants me to find him an apartment 300 miles from here because that's where his job is. I'll keep you posted as to what happens in this situation. I thought I found him a car today, but he didn't like it. That's the problem. Is he's really picky. That's not a problem, I guess. Research conducted with Westerners has shown that physically attractive people have a number of more positive life outcomes than those that are less physically attractive, and these outcomes extend across a broad array of domains in ways that may seem patently unfair. This is America Somebody. She was on Ugly Betty. This is her on Ugly Betty. This is what she really looks like. Essays that are believed to have been written by an attractive author are evaluated more positively than ones believed to have been written by a less attractive author. And that is from a study by Landy and Siegel in 1974. And this is one of the reasons why I don't put your first names on any of your essays. When I grade your essay, I grade it by your last name. Why? Because I don't want to know whether you're a male or a female, because I tend to give females a little bit higher grades than males. And this is another individual. I can't remember her name. She's a character actor. Attractive politicians get more votes than unattractive ones. That's according to research by Efrain and Patterson in 1974. Hillary Clinton got 7 million or 3 million more votes than Donald Trump, but she still lost the election. Attractive children are rated as smarter and better behaved by their teachers. This is according to Clifford and Wolster in 1973. And there you go. This is another reason. This is one of the reasons why online classes are not a bad idea, because I don't have a clue what anybody looks like. And if I saw you, I might give you preferential treatment, or I might pick on you. You never know. I might be one of those teachers that do that. The research has shown that it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if the teacher is a male or a female. Doesn't matter if the student is a male or a female. The teacher still gives preferential treatment. First of all, to females. Females always get preferential treatment over males, and then attractive individuals get better treatment than unattractive individuals. Attractive MBA grads earn more money than less attractive MBA grads, and this is according to a research by Freese et al. In 1991. Attractive criminals get lighter sentences than less attractive criminals, and this is according to research by Stewart in 1980. From an early age, we learned that attractive people have more desirable characteristics than unattractive ones, such as when we learn of Cinderella's kindness and beauty in contrast to her evil and ugly stepsisters. They aren't just ugly and evil in their way of behaving, but also in their faces. You can see Disney made them far less attractive. If you can catch their faces. There we go. Some people refer to this as the tyranny of the beautiful, and it has been explained by our ability to discern beauty almost immediately after meeting someone. We will often assume that they have other positive features as well, and this is known as the halo effect. This is Audie Murphy. Audie Murphy is the most highly decorated soldier in American history, and this guy is a criminal. This guy, this is the picture of him that was posted online. And because of his beauty, the women were saying that they would bail him out of jail because he was so attractive. There he is again, Jeremy Meeks. And now he's a model. Why? Because his picture appeared on a website and women saw it. And they wanted to mother him, I guess. I'm not sure. Anyway, that's what he does now. He's a millionaire because of his beauty. And there's Audie Murphy with his Congressional Medal of Honor. That's the one on top. I'm pointing to it with my fly swatter. Audie Murphy. Audie Murphy became an actor. He wasn't a very tall person. He's only about 5'6", 5'7", but he became an actor. And you can see all the medals that he won. Another individual, his picture appeared in, he's Jonathan Cahill from the UK. This was a very controversial thing that happened in England. They published this guy's picture. Women found him so attractive that they wanted to, these are both mug shots. The one on the left is the older mugshot, and the one on the right is his newer mugshot. This one didn't cause that much of a stir, but this one certainly did, and women just went gaga over this individual. And he escaped from prison, and they were looking for him, and women were writing in and saying he can hide at my house anytime. Eventually, they caught him, of course, and now he's back in jail, but. Women liked the way he looked. People from Ghana and the United States were asked whether they were happy with their lives. Attractive Americans were more satisfied with their lives than unattractive ones. Attractive Ghanaians were less satisfied with their lives than unattractive Ghanaians. Beauty is a commodity in the United States, but it is not in Ghana. Oishi and colleagues in 2009 studied American college students, comparing those who had lived in one place and those who had moved multiple times. Now, this is really important to me because as a military member, we were given the opportunity to move like every 2 or 3 years. And because of that, we kept moving our kids. First of all, I had both the kids in Dayton, Ohio. Then we moved into Lubbock, Texas. We were in Lubbock, Texas for 7 years. And then we moved the kids to Zweibrücken, Germany. And from Zweibrücken, Germany, we moved them to Plattsmouth, Nebraska. And I got out of the service and stuck around for the next, let's see, when was that? 82 to 90, the next 8 years, so that they could graduate from high school. So we moved them a lot. The movers had more conditional loyalty. And if you look at my kids, my son is a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and my daughter's a Dallas Cowboys fan. They have more Facebook friends on campus. They recognize their personality traits as part of their identity because that is what they learn when they move around a lot. And they preferred chain stores because they knew what they would find. Cities that tend to have a great deal of mobility, San Diego, Los Angeles, Atlanta, have more fair weather sports fans, higher crime rates, with less pro-community action, more large national chain stores. This itinerant lifestyle may make the United States culture different than in other places in the world. In many Latin American cultures, people place an emphasis on maintaining harmonious relationships and on making expressive displays of graciousness, hospitality, and personal harmony. And this is known as simpatico. Latin Americans view their self-concepts to be more characterized by traits that reflect simpatico, such as easygoing, respectful, courteous, and agreeable. Latin Americans also expect interactions with others to be dominated by positive social behaviors and to have fewer negative social behaviors compared with the expectations of the European Americans. Latin Americans show a clear preference for working in groups in which people strive to maintain a warm and hospitable atmosphere. European Americans, especially Protestants, show a clear preference for staying focused on the task at hand. Latin Americans act in more sociable ways than the European Americans, and time sampling studies have find that they spend a greater proportion of their time socializing with others. Humans require such an extended period of costly protective care and socialization that they fare best when they have two parents devoted to providing resources and socializing them. In the ancestral environment, it was likely that parents who did not feel especially strong love for their children were less likely to have their children survive the tenuous circumstance of subsistence lifestyle. Some strong incentives were needed to keep the parents together, so they would both rather remain to support the children. According to the reasoning, romantic love was selected as the glue that keeps couples together. Those people who did not develop feelings of love for their partners would have been less likely to stay with them and would have ended up having fewer surviving offspring than those who felt strong feelings of love. One review of ethnographies of 166 cultures found that clear evidence of romantic love in 89% of them. Historically, the majority of marriages around the world have been arranged by families rather than by the couples themselves. How I Met Your Mother, I met her on my wedding day, on our wedding day. Looking at 186 societies, researchers found that Western strategies in finding an appropriate spouse was only seen among 31% of men and 8% of women. In a study by Levine and colleagues in 1995, college students from several countries were asked this question: if a man or woman had all the qualities you desired, would you marry this person if you were not in love with them? This is important. If a significant other had all the qualities you desired, would you marry this person if you were not in love with them? Half of the students from India and Pakistan said they would marry the person, and 1/4 of more were undecided about whether they would marry them or not. So they would marry them whether they were in love with them or not. Now this gets really important. Over 80% of Americans, Britons, Australians, and Latin Americans said they would not, and only a small percentage, less than 5%, of these countries said they would. So they would marry, so people in the United States, England, Australia, and in the Latin American countries marry for love. They don't marry just for position. They would not marry somebody that they were not in love with. Now here's the important part. The identical question was posed to American college students in 1967, the year I graduated from high school. 65% of the men, but only 24% of the women said they would not marry someone they did not love, and this is according to Kephart in 1967. Now, why is this important? This is important because I got married in 1969 to an individual that said that, to an individual in 1969. I'm a man and I married for love. She was a woman, and possibly one out of 4 times, 3 out of 4 times, she was not in love with me because she would marry somebody just because I was perfect, not because of love. So the probability that my first wife didn't love me is fairly high, as you can see from these statistics, as weird as that may seem. And that kind of even looks like her. Wait a minute. No, not really. But I wasn't in the Navy. I was a college student at the time. The likelihood of a culture favoring arranged marriage is not determined randomly. It appears to relate to the dominant kind of family structure in the culture. I have a picture of Donald Trump here, obviously, and that's his second wife, Marla Maples. Why do we know that Marla Maples was his second wife? I don't know. He's always been one of those attention-seeking people. Good in 1959 proposed that romantic love would become more important in cultures as the strength of extended family ties became weaker. The powerful feelings of romantic love could be somewhat irrelevant or even problematic for marriages in culture with strong extended family ties. So the stronger the family ties, the less necessary romantic love is, because the family is far more important than the relationship. The relationship is supposed to fit into the family. So the stronger the romantic relationship between the husband and wife, potentially the weaker the relationship, the ties with the extended family, and that's not good. This is in 1959, but this still holds true today. The Western ideal of romantic love, characterized by intense feelings and mutual absorption, could be disruptive in cultures with large kin networks because such feelings can interfere with people's abilities to respect the wishes of their family members, and their family members are the most important things to them. An analysis of data from 117 non-industrialized societies found clear support for Good's hypothesis, and that was research done by Lee and Stone in 1980. Marriages based on love were more likely in cultures with nuclear family structures than they were in cultures with extended families. Why? Because in nuclear family structures, it's the husband and wife that have to take care of the kids. They're the ones that have to raise the kids. But in a more collectivistic extended family culture, it's the family that raises the kids. Whether there's a strong bond between the husband and wife doesn't matter. It's the extended family that raises the kids anyway. Many arranged marriages start out with no feelings of love between the couple. However, in time, the husband and wife begin to develop strong feelings for one another. A good analogy is getting a pet and developing strong feelings for the animal the longer you have it. People in arranged marriages describe their experiences in a similar manner. The individual approaches a person as his or her new spouse with the expectation of eventually falling in love. With time, they usually do. And this is a cartoon from India, actually. Our parents want us to get to know each other so that we can decide if we want to get married. Yes. So let's add each other on Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, Orkut, LinkedIn, and Friend Feed. You can also subscribe to my blog. That way we can learn a lot about each other. And of course, there you go. With an abysmal failure rate of Western marriages, the assumption that arranged marriages are miserable is probably inaccurate. Most people in countries where arranged marriages are prevalent view arranged marriages as more likely to succeed than romantic marriages. Oh, that's funny. Arranged marriage is such a funny concept. All your life, you are taught not to speak to strangers, and suddenly you are asked to sleep with one. That's about right. A survey among adults living in various urban centers in India found that 74% of men and women believed that arranged marriages were more likely to succeed than love marriages. And this is according to research by Kishwar in 1994. There's also evidence that those in arranged marriages are at least as satisfied with their marriages as those in love marriages. Turkish couples in arranged marriages have been found to be as much in love with their partners as couples in love marriages. And this is according to Hortescue in 1999. Members of the Unification Church participated in mass arranged marriages where partners were chosen in ceremonies that involved thousands of men and women. Looking at marriages after 3 years, researchers found a similar rate of satisfaction between these couples and the general public, and that is according to Galanter in 1986. And this is actually a picture of a mass wedding from the Unification Church. And it looks like it's in Korea. Men in Japanese arranged marriages were found to be more satisfied than those in love marriages, and this is according to Blood in 1967. Men in Chinese arranged marriages were as satisfied as those in love marriages, and this is according to Zhu in White in 1990. However, Women in Japanese arranged marriages were found to be less satisfied in arranged than love marriages, and that's according to Blood in 1967. Women in Chinese arranged marriages were found to be less satisfied in their marriages than love marriages, and that's according to Zhu and White in 1990. This suggests that the costs of arranged marriages are borne largely by women in the Japanese and Chinese cultures, and these are two pictures of domestic violence. A study by Gupta and Singh in 1982 compared marital satisfaction between Indian couples in arranged and love marriages. In the initial years of marriage, those in love marriages professed more love than those in arranged marriages. Over time, it was those in arranged marriages who reported having the most love. This pattern held true for both men and women. The study was replicated with similar results by Kumar and Dayani in 1996 and Nielsma and Athapilli in 1988. While these results may seem counterintuitive, Heine explains them using an interview with a Japanese colleague who had been in an arranged marriage for 30 years. And this is a picture of your author, actually. And there he is again. When they were first married, they had no love for each other. Now they have some love for each other. Some love seems like quite a bit compared to no love. Couples in love marriages typically start out with a lot of love for each other. Years later, it is not surprising that many of them report having less love than they did during their steamy courtship. Some love doesn't seem so great compared to the lot of love that they had for each other earlier. A study in Israel comparing arranged and love marriages found similar results. Those in arranged marriages were found to be as much in love with their partners as couples in love marriages, and that's according to Shakar in 1991. And that is the end of the lecture. So I'll talk to you guys next week. Next week, we're talking about morality, religion, and justice, as much fun as that sounds.